Hello and welcome to the Virtuous Life. I'm your host, Pat Odie Murray. Today, I'm so excited about the guest we have, but before I do that, I want to jump in to talk about Lent because Wednesday, when this show airs, Wednesday will be Ash Wednesday. So I want you to know, or the week after Ash Wednesday, I want you to know that we're going to start the Monday before Ash Wednesday talking about a book by Father Wayne Sattler called Remain in Me and I in You, relating to God as a person, not an idea. I talk about this a lot in so many ways. It's from Sophia Press, the book is. And we're going to be going through this week by week, talking about different things. I'm still trying to get a hold of Father Sattler, who's been on the show before. But I think this is so important for us during the season of Lent. So if you want to purchase it and read along with us on the show, again, Sophia Press, Remain in Me and I in You. And we are going to probably start that the week that Ash Wednesday falls in, just to let you know. Okay. That's enough, but I want to get you ready for that if you want to read along with us. But I will tell you, when you hear this show, we will have just celebrated Valentine's Day in our country. I have read a book that everyone who is married should read. I cannot recommend this book highly enough. In fact, I've told everybody in my family about it, and they're taking pictures of the cover, so that they can order it. It is an amazing book, and we are so blessed to have the author with us from Rome. And the name of the book is Blessed is the Day We Got It Wrong. And the author is, I'm going to say this wrong, Costanza Mireano. Did I say that right?
Perfect.
You're being kind now. This was, I could not put this book down. You are an amazing author. Your humor, which I think these tough subjects need humor, because that kind of loosens people up to accept what you're talking about. So talk a little bit to us about why you wrote this book, Costanza.
It all began 12 years ago when I was having my confession with my spiritual father. And I began just with one or two very little sins of mine. And then I began with a very numerous sins of my husband because
I'm doing his confession.
Yeah. Because I'm always very expert about my husband's sins. And the priest stopped me and told me, I can't give you the absolution, but if you want, I can call your husband and give him the absolution, because you didn't tell me anything about your sins, and you told me everything about your mother-in-law and your husband's sins, so I can call them. And so I began a spiritual travel to get inside my marriage, my marital and life, and I discovered that I didn't understand the meaning, the deep meaning of being married, because and he suggested me to start again reading the letter from St. Paul to the Ephesians, when he writes to the wives to be submitted to men, and he asks the men to be ready to give their life to wives. So I started again in my marriage, because me and my husband, we are so different. I speak 24 hours a day. I always do things. I do so many things. I never rest. On the other hand, my husband is always quiet. He doesn't speak. They used to say that men and women speak different languages, but my husband doesn't speak at all, no language at all. He uses hands, as we do in Italy.
Uh-huh.
And so small words like oh, mm-hmm, uh-huh, mm-hmm. This is his way of speaking.
Uh-huh.
So it's very, very hard for me to translate his language and his gestures. So I decided we got it wrong, because just like a fork and the knife, Chesterton writes that there's no such thing as a right marriage.
Uh-huh.
Each marriage is wrong, because we are like a fork and a knife. We are so different, but together we can work. But my husband is very, very different from me. He's like a mythological creator, half a man, half a couch. So when he's when he sits on the couch, he says, "I'm not losing time. I'm recharging like my batteries. So
Yeah.
you don't have to call me. Please be quiet, be silent." And when I see someone sitting, I ask him to do something, because I cannot stand when someone rests. I run every day. I work. I write during the night. I cook.
Right.
I I do so many things. So when I see someone on the couch, it's like a suffering for me. So the confessor told me that I should give up trying to change my husband,
Mhm.
to improve him, to make him grow. Because my husband uses to say, if I would like to grow, I would marry I would marry a tree. I don't want to grow. I want to be I want to stay just the way I am now.
Right.
And I used to say that he has no optionals. And he
Uh-huh.
says that he is like an old model of car, like a Land Rover,
Mm.
where he has no optionals,
That's
but
right.
he
He's
doesn't.
vintage, though. He's
Yeah,
vintage.
yeah, he's vintage, and he never breaks. He always works, do
There you go.
slow things, few things, but always working. And sometimes I crash. Like
Right.
I have an electronical equipment, very, very delicate, and sometimes I crash. Sometimes I scream. Sometimes and he's my I say he's is very slow, and
Uh-huh.
is my savior.
The
So
constant. Yeah.
I understood after many years of marriage that he is the right for me, even
Right.
if I thought many times I had married the wrong person.
Mhm.
Now I know it's not.
It's not true. So,
No.
that kind of explains your book title, right? Because this is an interesting book title. Blessed is the day we got it wrong. A lot of people might look at that and go, "What? How can you be blessed if you got it wrong?" So, can you kind of let people know what kind of were you thinking with that title?
I think that when we tend to think we got it wrong, is because we suffer. Now I used to laugh about it, but sometimes it's something that makes you suffer. You ask, maybe I'm living the wrong life, and this is like a wound in your heart, through which God gets passes through, and he comes into your life through that space. So the wound is blessed because it's the place God goes through.
Mhm.
So when I began asking my confessor and asking God, am I living the right life? I began praying. I used to pray even before, but I began praying seriously. So I began praying hard every day, asking to show me how to live this life. So I think that it's really blessed because it allowed me to become more intimate in with God.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, it draws you closer if you allow it, right?
yeah.
And I must tell you, you address so many issues in this book that marriages have. So I'd kind of like to talk about each one if we have time. But as you look back after writing this and talking to many, many people about marriage and their own marriages, what do you think is the most common of these issues in marriage? Like, what do you think is the one that most people struggle with?
Uh, I, I forgot to tell you that I wrote the first book, Get Married and Be Submissive, uh, 12 years ago. And
Okay.
then I began going around around Italy in many parishes and theaters, meeting couples. So I have like kind of experience about it. And the resume of this experience is in that book. I think that we can divide the two more common problems. The one of women is that we want to change men. We want to educate them. We want to manipulate them to format them, and we want to improve. And it's hard for us for me, especially, to accept my husband the way he is. I always want to educate. Inside of me, it lurks a teacher, a school teacher, and sometimes also the minister of education in in bad days. And this is the most common problem for women, and it's also the thing that make men suffer more,
Mhm.
because a man wants to be loved just the way he is. We all want it, but for men is the comfort in the relation is more important than from women. On the other hand, the problem of men, as I can see the men I met in this year, is that they try to not to give everything. They're a bit selfish. They want to earn something, to take something for them, and not to be completely involved, giving up everything. So I think, and that's exactly what St. Paul asks to men and women. So the men should learn to be submissive, and a man should learn to decide to move to die,
Mhm.
because they have to give life. This is, I think, St. Paul is very deep
Right.
writing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you're so right. I mean, that is, and I often wonder if it's because women are the ones who give birth, right?
Yeah.
And so women are constantly training children,
Yeah.
and I think it's hard for them then not to want to train their husbands,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so, but you're so right. I mean, I think you say women want to be loved, men want to be respected,
Yeah.
and that is a hard thing in both places because women don't necessarily see when they're critical of their husbands as that not being respectful. Do you think that's true? I mean, I think sometimes when women are critical, they're thinking, well, I'm really helping them, and so they don't see that that's disrespectful in the eyes of the man, right?
Yeah, I completely, I completely agree because yes, it's that's what Edith Stein writes. Saint Teresa Benedetta della Croce, Edith Stein writes exactly the same. That it's a quality we have because we have to raise children, to educate, and the risk for us is to use it in a bad way. So I think we have to be very, very careful, very to pay attention to this, because for us it's a way of loving, a way of building our family. But the man thinks we are not respecting him. So it's very important to learn to translate each other, and the translation is also one of most common issues we have to face, because for instance we should remind to men that we use a language which is not we don't just use words, but it's important the tone the
Mhm.
tone we use. So when I say my husband, it doesn't matter, I mean it matters a lot because no, I don't need a gift, don't it's not important, my birthday,
Yeah.
it's in 2 weeks, but please don't buy me a gift. It means please remember it will be my birthday.
Yeah.
Ask our daughters the name of the perfume I use or something. So
Right.
please, but so this last year he didn't buy a gift because I was too it was convinced I was serious, but I was not. So we have to so, and when I tell him it doesn't matter, you come to take me at the station, and then I go outside the station and I look for him, I'm
Yeah.
why he didn't come. And I call him, you told me not to come, I
Right.
was not serious. So we have to learn to translate each other. And
Yeah.
on the other hand, men say exactly what they want to say. They don't use tone. They really say. So once, many years ago, he told me, I would like to buy me a guitar. And he meant exactly he wanted to buy himself and to choose it. But in my language, it meant he wants me to buy a guitar for him. And so I went to the shop and I took the guitar, and he was upset because he said I wanted to choose by myself. So that I learned that I don't have to translate my husband because he says exactly what he wants to say.
And I think that's a good thing, I think, for women to learn too, is that when you're dealing with your husband, and even I notice that, in the work world too, sometimes when you're dealing with a man, just be straightforward. You don't have to kind of beat around the bush and am I gonna offend him? What's gonna, it's so much different than when you're talking to your girlfriends or,
Yeah.
so, but I respect that. I mean, I think after I got married, I got much better at just being straightforward, not rude, but saying, no, I don't see it that way, or no, I don't want that, or sure, you can buy me a present. We just can't, I don't know what it is, Costanza, why we can't get through our heads
I
that
don't
we don't
know.
speak the same language.
If in Apollo 13 there would have been a woman, she would have said, Houston, we have a problem. Okay, tell us. No, if you don't get it, it doesn't matter.
Right. We'll be okay. Yeah. I love it. And one of the things, though, that I kind of want to ask you too is that, I mean, you write beautifully, but how do you see the world, kind of the values of the world, at odds with forming a good, healthy, happy marriage, or as good as it can be, because we're all broken. Because it appears to me, because God bless you. I love that you are very clear that, this is a commitment. This is forever. This is, could be a cross. And really the only kind of out, if I want to put it that way, that I see in the book is when you say about abuse. If there's physical abuse going on, you've got to get out. But other than that, let's work through it. I mean, you're pretty clear. You don't give like all these boundaries about, well, he's mean, he doesn't say kind things or whatever. You're very you drill into this idea of what it really means to be Christian and carry your cross. So how do you see the world at work here in this whole marriage thing, and how do we deal kind of with that, the values of the world?
I think the word tells us that we should get married to be happy, and so if you don't make me happy, I break. And I don't think it's the right criterium. It's not a matter of being happy, but it's a matter of asking God to help us to stay together, and then you'll be happy, asking for the grace of God and his way of looking. When I get upset with my husband, I try. No, I'm not always able to do it, but I try. Please, God, give me your eyes on. Teach me how to look at him when the way you look at him. So I asked Jesus, please help me looking as you look at him, and he always comes. And I really bless the days when it was harder to do it, because it's always growing in the intimacy with God and with my husband. So there's a priest very famous in Rome, and he says, please don't get married when you're in love, because it doesn't, you are not sure what you're doing when you're in love. So you have to know each other and to know that you're gonna take a cross in your life. My husband is my cross and I am his cross.
Right.
So it's so the word says the meaning of life is being happy, and everything that is not immediately happy, you have to throw it away. Obviously, being happy is also it's also the thing that God wants for us, but not the way the word intends it. So it's a higher and deeper and a different happiness.
Exactly. I really think that we just think that I should be ecstatic every moment.
Yeah.
Every moment should be just joy filled and ecstatic and things are great. And then when we start having difficulties, then we just don't know what to do with it. And that's why I love this book. You keep bringing us back to the Lord. You keep telling us, all of this is part of your salvation, which is so important. And you make a good point, and you talk about it in your book too, about we don't have a good understanding of love, do we, in marriage?
Yeah. I think so. I think that we think love is the thing that has to make us happy to every day, in every moment, with butterflies in your stomach, and being always thinking the same thing, always being understood. But sometimes I tell the story of an extraordinary couple, which is Elisabeth Lezer and her husband Felix Lezer, and they during their life in Paris, she met God. She met Jesus, and she was baptized, but she had left her life of faith, and then she went back to church, and she began writing Bible, and Saint Augustine, Saint Thomas, the fathers of the church, and then she began a very serious path of faith, but her husband didn't want to follow her, and he was a very severe anti-clerical, anti-church, and she decided to stay with him, to be faithful, to be to keep loving even more than before, even if they couldn't share the most important thing, which is faith. And she writes in her diary that it was a great suffering for her to not to share the deepest things of her life with her husband, but she decided to keep loving. And so he was a doctor, so in the morning she uses to go to take care of orphans, and at night she went out with him in parties and meetings with her husband, wearing jewels and very close. Yeah. And she used to write in her diary that it was a great suffering. She kept offering to God for her husband to meet God, to be saved. And after her death, he read the diaries, and he found out how deeply she loved. I knew many marriages where the couple is so far each one from the other, but you have to trust that God is your spouse, is the spouse of your heart, first of all, before your husband, before your wife. He is the most important person in your life. So through him you can love also the things you don't understand at all. And I saw women, but also men, being able to forgive very, very important things.
Yeah. Well, we are already at break. This is just phenomenal. I could talk to you for days.
Thank you so much.
But I'll let the audience know, today our guest is Costanza Mireano. She is a wife, mother of 4 children. She's a journalist, a freelance writer on education and relationships. She's worked with the Pontifical Council for the Laity. She's got a blog. She's written 3 or 4 books. And the one we're talking about today, Blessed is the Day We Got It Wrong. Everybody who wants to get married, who is married, should read this book. So come back on the other side of the break. You're listening to The Virtuous Life, and I'm your host, Pat Odie Murray.
Unbelievers often reject religion because it sometimes causes conflict. They'll say, science will fly you to the moon, religion will fly you into buildings. Is this a rational basis for rejecting religion? The answer is no, and here's the reason. First, just because something causes conflict doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. For example, many wars have been fought over land. Does this mean we should do away with the right to private property? I don't think so. Second, the objection doesn't specify which religions cause war. It may belong to the essence of some religions to spread its message by the sword, and these we should reject, but it doesn't belong to all religions. So, to the question, should I reject religion because it causes conflict? The answer is no. I'm Carlo Broussard with the ready reason for Catholic Answers, Catholic.com.
The Adoration Sodality of the Poor Clares of Perpetual Adoration at the Shrine of the Most Blessed Sacrament in Hanceville, Alabama, is a prayer group for laity, priests, and religious brothers and sisters to spiritually join in the nuns' mission of adoring our Lord Jesus Christ in the Holy Eucharist. Members commit themselves to an hour of Eucharistic adoration on a monthly, weekly, or daily basis at a monstrance or tabernacle at the parish of their choice. Learn more about becoming a member at iadorethee.com.
If you or those you love don't have filtering on your computers or devices, you're playing games with souls. You're leaving the door wide open. Please join us now in shutting that door. Go right now to massimpact.us. Click on Covenant Eyes.
Hello and welcome back to The Virtuous Life. I'm your host, Pat Odie Murray, and today we are so blessed. This woman is amazing. I could talk to her for days. Her name is Costanza Mireano. She is a wife and mother of 4 children, a journalist, a freelance writer in education and relationships. She's even worked with the Pontifical Council for the Laity. She has a blog, written books, the book we're talking about again, and I am going to say this over and over. If you want to get married, or if you are married, please buy this book and read it. It's a must. Blessed is the day we got it wrong. Costanza, thanks so much again for being on the show. I so appreciate it.
Thank you for calling.
And rarely do I read because you wrote this, but I think the audience needs to hear this. So I'm going to read one of the paragraphs that I just wrote after it. Wow. Here is what she wrote. We become like Jesus when we carry the cross among people who weigh heavy on us. And family is the very place for that to happen, because in every other relationship, you get to set boundaries. You can say goodbye and walk away. At home, though, you share everything. The masks come off, and living so close together throws your faults right in your face. That's the only time a miracle can occur. Oh, I love it. I mean, that was just, and I feel like I should just read this book to my, it's so good. But you're here and I want to get your insight. So we talked a little bit in the first half about, and quit trying to change your husband. That that's like just toxic. But you do say that women, when they're struggling with this whole thing, should focus on becoming lovable, being lovable. What does that look like to you? Can you give us some insight into that?
I think it's like the place we can. The family is the place where we can try to live the gospel. So give the other cheek and forgive 7 times 7. It's like it's a work you do. Maybe the most of the time in the nobody sees it. Nobody sees you are keeping a sock from the. You find come si dice in the room you find socks, you find shoes out of their place. You should cook something out of the time. You should you do so many invisible things, but God, if you are sure that God sees everything you do, even when nobody says thank. In my family, nobody says thank you because they give you for granted. So, but it makes you so lovable to God and also to your family. But it's also so it makes us so happy because we know we are giving life. We can giving our husband, our children to life, our friends too sometimes to life every day, through small gestures, small things we can do. And life is so full of sense, full of meaning, that you are happy. Even my husband says that my favorite sentence is "you are right," because I always want to be right. I says that my favorite is "you're beautiful" or "you're slim," "you're thin," "you're in shape," but also "you're right" is okay. But so I'm joking, but I know that it's nice to be loved, but maybe it's nicer to know you are giving life, you are doing something that gives life to your family. So there's no such thing as a day with no meaning. Everything has a great meaning. Everything we do has an echo on the eternity.
Right.
So so it's so amazing.
It
So
is.
you are cleaning a dish, and in heaven angels are cheering because that dish was not up to you. You are doing something you should not because maybe your husband should do it, but and I think that in heaven there's like saints and angels greeting and giving high five. So
We're finally getting it. We got a clue,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So it makes our life so full of I don't know, full of emotions and full
Yeah.
of like a sense of plentiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think one of the things too, and I remember my spiritual director saying this to me. I didn't get married till I was 41, and I wanted to be married. I wanted to be married. Wanted to have a family. Wanted all that. And I kept just saying, well, I don't get this. I think I'd be a good wife and mother. Why isn't this? And she finally said to me, look, you are so focused out there. Make yourself into someone that somebody would like to marry. And I thought, well, what do you mean you don't want to marry me? But it really was that whole idea of, and it comes through when you talk about women who get so hurt and so wrapped up in their husband not meeting their every need or want, and they don't understand that if they're going to be crabby and critical, who wants to come home to that, right? I mean, who wants to be a part of that? So sometimes when we think we're kind of fighting for, ourselves and our rights and whatever in a marriage, we don't understand that's not what marriage is about. And again, we talked before break about the world, but the world kind of sticks that in our head. This is, get your, make them do something. You don't have to do everything, and so we never come at it from a sense of self-giving. It's like, no, I'm owed something here, And
If I can, I have a short, I hope short novel.
Go ahead.
I always think about it when I want to correct my husband. It's called the story of Gudbrando, the mountain man, and it's a novel about a man who lives in the mountain with his wife. They have 2 cows, and they want to sell 1 cow at the market of the village. So the Gudbrando goes down to the market, but he cannot sell it. So he goes back to the house, but going on, he meets a man with a horse, and the man proposes him to switch the horse with the cow. And then he meets a man with a pig, so he switches the horse with a pig, and then a sheep, a goat, a duck, and a rose. So a chicken. So he and then finally he meets a man who wants to buy his chicken, and he sells it. And before coming to his house, he stops at a restaurant. He has dinner, and he spends everything he earned from the chicken. And when he's going inside the house to his wife, he meets the neighbor, and the neighbor, he sees that he has not the cow, so he asks, how much money did you get from the cow? And Gudbrando says the whole story. And the neighbor says, I don't want to be in your shoes because I cannot even imagine what your wife is going to say. And Gudbrando says, no problem for me, because my wife loves me so much that she will be okay. And so the neighbor bets a big bag of golden coins, and he says, "Your wife will be upset." So Gudbrando goes into the house, and the neighbor is near the window, and he sees that the wife, "Welcome back, Gudbrando. Come here. There's a dinner ready for you, and I was waiting. How did it go?" And so Gudbrando tells the whole story to the wife, and for each animal, the wife is each animal happier, because he says, "Okay, we're gonna go to the mess with the horse. We're gonna make the wool from the sheep, and then again. So finally, he has to say, "I have nothing because I sold the money. I spent all the money, and also I'm not gonna eat your dinner because I already had it." So the neighbor is ready to
Sure.
but the wife says, "No problem, Gudbrando, because I love you. It doesn't matter if you spend all the money. The most important thing in my life is that you are back. You are home. You are my husband. You love me, and I don't need money. I need nothing more." So Gudbrando earns the money. So when I call my friends, my female friends, we say, "I'm in Gudbrando phase 127 because I forgave my husband this and this and this." And so, but we tell each other, but we are trying to learn from Gudbrando's wife to not to tell him the things we think they did wrong, but not just thinking you're
Yeah.
not pretending. It has to be a deep attitude, a really sincere attitude. You have to have in the deep of your heart, "I am happy that you are my husband, that you are here." So sometimes I take my post-it and I write the things I would like to tell him. And tonight, when we will be alone, I'm gonna tell him this and this and this, and then at the end of the day, I read my post-it and I say, "No, I cannot even imagine how terrible I am, because I don't need to tell him all these things. He's back. He's my husband." And so Gudbrando's wife is my personal icon.
And the thing is, Costanza, I think we all, well, I would think most of us want to be that woman, but I think too, you made a great point saying it has to be real.
Yeah.
You can't just gloss over it. In your head, you're thinking, "I can't believe this. This is the dumbest thing somebody ever did. I can't believe I married such a dumb guy." But outwardly you're saying, "Oh, I love you and I'm so happy you're home." Right? So it's kind of like that is where the faith comes in, right? In the sense of, how do I kind of switch my way of thinking from, "You're just dumb and I can't believe I'm dumber because I married you," or "Yeah, I am just so grateful. You are such a gift. Even in the midst of all this, you're such a gift." I like your idea of the post-its. That's a great idea. But what other things can you kind of help women who get in that situation and then tell themselves, "Well, I'm not going to be her. Then I'm just letting him walk all over me and I'm being passive." Again, messages from the world. Help us understand, how do we do that?
I think it's like a miracle you can just ask in prayer. So when I understood this part of the marriage, I began praying seriously. I try to pray as much as I can, because I know that we are all wounded from original sin that pushes us to tell, "So you are wrong, you are stupid, you do stupid things, I'm better than you, I'm better than your mother," because we are terrible. So I think it's original sin that my spiritual father used to say it was like devil radio, which is always on in our
I like it.
houses. Like in Italy, we have a very popular radio who is called Radio Maria, and he says that Satan radio is louder because always screams and has a high volume, and he says, okay, you're wrong. We have to close our ears and pray and say, please give me the strength to change my eyes. And sometimes Saint Teresa of Avila used to call it the mad of the house. I don't know, in Italian is il pazzo di casa, the crazy person in the house is is inside each one of us.
Boss.
So we have to shut up, to tell him, shut up, I don't listen to you. And the only way we are able to do it is to pray.
Right.
And sometimes we also have to, not when you're upset, but when you are calm, when maybe you're out for dinner, you're happy, sometimes you also can say something in the right way. You don't always have to be silent sometimes. And I know, I realize that my husband, when I say things, not to correct him, but when he understands that I want to really to build, to improve us both, he listens. It's a miracle, but sometimes he listens. He has ears. I couldn't believe, but he has. So, but you have to tell it in the right way, not like a noise of a continuous noise,
Right.
like always.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And you bring that up when you talk about languages, right? And we talked a little bit about that in the first half, about meaning what we say, that's a big deal. But why do we, what is it about us? I don't know. Maybe you have an insight that I don't. And it could go back to what we talked about in the first half of the show. But we always feel we've got to keep explaining things. Like, we can't just make a statement and wait for a response. We just launch into these long explanations of things. And I don't know why we do that.
I don't know.
And when you're really honest about it, that really does have to drive a man crazy.
Yeah. At the beginning of the Lent, the priest last year said, and for men, I ask you to make a big sacrifice in this Lent every day. Please listen to your wife 10 minutes a day. And my husband raised his head and asked, but 10 minutes all together, or just 2 and 2 and 2? Because
I love it.
I guess he cannot resist listening to me 10 minutes, because I complicate things. I go back and like a circle and go like a spiral. I go and go again. So we should try to learn to communicate. I should try to be more simple, more direct. And sometimes when I ask my husband, please, I need you to listen to me. Please don't suggest me solutions. Just listen. Just you don't have to do nothing. You don't have to do
To fix
things.
it.
Okay, to fix it. Okay. Yes. You just listen, don't fix it. But if you ask it for a moment in the day, I think it's easier for them than being continuously not spoken to.
Yeah. And you're right. I think, women are certainly very verbal. And so overall, I remember, having that conversation early on with my husband where I'm just venting. I come home from work and I'm just, and pouring it out there. And then all of a sudden he starts giving me all these solutions. And I just look at him like, I don't need you to fix this. I'm not stupid. I can figure this out. I just need you to listen. But then he's thinking, well, if you can fix it, why are you telling me? It's this loop going on, right?
So it's like a consolation for me to see that also American men are the same model. Okay, so
Yep.
so I don't.
When I read this, I was like, oh, really? She's in Rome? She's talking about Italians? Because this is, I mean, when we say God created them male and female, that's what we're saying. Doesn't matter what continent you're on.
Just the same. So there's no useful to go on the other country and over the ocean. Same.
No, same thing. I do want to ask, though, because we are certainly in a world that focuses on sex, on sexuality, on the body, and pornography is rampant in society today. So could you kind of help our audience kind of understand, because it took me a while to kind of figure this out. What if you had to kind of hone in on the differences? What is important for a woman to understand about a man when it comes to sexuality, and what's important for a man to understand about a woman when it comes to sexuality?
I think that sexuality for men begins from the eyes, and they can switch. Even if you've been fighting all day and you haven't been talking together for the whole day, when they come to bed, for men, they switch. They can turn on the switcher, and so we should be more. We should understand this thing. We should understand the way they work, and on the other hand, men should understand that we have not the switcher. We cannot turn on so if we've been fighting for the whole day, we need to talk a little bit to be, or maybe find another way to come to peace. We cannot go so we should learn to meet in the middle and I think that men are more it's a risk they look pornography because exactly because the eyes are there, the way the sex goes through. So we have to to protect. We have to ask to our men, our husband, and also children to protect their eyes, and we have to talk about it. I know couples where the man had this kind of problem, and the solution came through talking about it. It's like a big humiliation for him, but we cannot. You cannot go out from this problem if you keep it secret. So every day, please forgive me, I did it again, maybe for 10 minutes. Okay, we can go out together. On the other hand, I think that for women, romance is the same that pornography is for men. So it's like a love without commitment. Okay, romance is love without, it's like just dreaming, just butterflies on the stomach, as we were saying. Romance, it's inventing a life that doesn't exist. So there are two different temptations. We are tempted from the colleague that gives you a flower, that makes you compliments, that offers you a coffee, and you imagine like a man with a knight with a horse, with a white horse coming to your life, and he will not throw socks
on the floor.
He will be perfect. He will
That's
be
right. He'll appreciate me. Yeah.
it's two different temptations, but dangerous just the same for me. So we have to protect our eyes and our heart from these temptations, because when you're tired, when you're it always comes a colleague that says you are beautiful, I can appreciate, your husband doesn't. So we have to protect us.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I that's a great insight, because I think sometimes men aren't as clued in to a woman who is starting to put moves on them, because I think so often, at least I think so often women think only men are the ones who put moves on vulnerable women, in the sense, women that are hurting and need some love. But I've seen women do it to men. They see a man who just isn't feeling maybe respected, like you said. Boy, they're going to be all about that and jump in there. And so sometimes I think, men don't understand. Women have that side to them too, where they will try to get in there and, split up a marriage or a relationship, thinking they can get in and be that person. So I think, men have to kind of, I've had to tell a few men that, yeah. Do you see what's happening? Because they just don't think women do those kinds of things. And I'm like, well, like you said, original sin affects us all.
Yeah.
We only have about a minute and a half left, Costanza. If you could just point out one thing that you think is the most important thing, and I know there are lots, that people can learn from this book, where would you point them to?
I mean, maybe the title. So when you think you did a wrong choice, you have to be faithful that God never gets wrong. So if he blesses your marriage, maybe you could have been marrying another woman or another man. Maybe you also could have been happier, I don't know. But if you are faithful to something God blessed, it will be the path to your holiness. So you stop asking yourself, why to me, why it happened to me, but ask yourself, how can I be holy in this life I have now?
That's wonderful. What a great way to end. And so our guest today, Costanza Mireano, wife, mother, journalist, writer, just an amazing woman, but I cannot recommend this book enough. Everyone thinking about marriage or married, get it. Blessed is the day we got it wrong. Thanks so much, Costanza, for being with us. And thank you, audience. Go out and learn to know how your marriage is really a miracle on the way, helping you toward holiness. You've been listening to The Virtuous Life. I'm your host, Pat Odie Murray.